This month on America's Top Agents, we're interviewing Amy Stair, the president and CEO of StarPower. We're able to catch up with Amy at the StarPower conference in Salt Lake City this year. It was a great conference, great content, ranging from an incredible panel on AI all the way to the new tax code that you need to know in your daily practice. Amy has had a major impact on hundreds of real estate agents, and we're going to talk about that with her today.
So Patrick, I've been coming to these StarPowers for 21 years, and that's where I met Amy, and she has been my personal coach for several of these years. And the greatest thing she's taught me is to pick up that phone and call people. And my best example is my most productive year was during COVID. And it's because I took Amy's advice and I picked up the phone and I called people and I said, how are you doing? What's going on in your life?
That's all you need to do in times of stress.
That's all I did. And every one of them brought up real estate, not me.
You know, one of the things that I've learned in the interviews that we've been doing is that every one of these super successful agents pick up the phone. And that's the best thing you can do. Thank you. We're here with my friend Lilly in Montalto, who is a domino you're one of the rock stars in the real estate industry. Talk to us about Amy.
So I first met Amy many years ago while she was working for Brinton. And I say to my team all the time that without them, they are the spokes in my wheel that allow me to do the business I do. And I look at Amy as just that. She was the spoke in Howard's wheel that was so critical to make everything that Howard did fabulous. And I don't know how to thank her for taking on. I'm sorry.
No, it's moving.
This monumental journey to try and continue his legacy. And it's so much work.
Oh, I know.
Bob and I have put on events like this. We know what happens in the background. And to take this on, the time, the money, the energy.
The risk.
And I don't know if people understand what you have to give of your own personal life and time to make this happen.
Yes.
And she does an amazing job.
Yes.
And I want, from the bottom of my heart, Patrick, I thank her every day because of all the people in my life that were life-changing to me. Howard, Fred Gross, I have to say they were two of the most important factors that made me who I am today. And Amy, thank you so much.
Amy.
Patrick.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's funny. Most times at the beginning of these interviews, I ask, how did we meet? Because I often don't remember. And this time I remember specifically because you interviewed me to become a star for StarPower back in the day. And this was sometime in the mid-2000s.
2006.
Was it?
Yeah.
2000. Okay, so it's 2006. And I can remember you saying, you have to make 35 million in gross commissions back then, or you wouldn't.
Volume.
In volume. Sorry. And I was like 10,000 underneath of that. But I said, yeah, that's exactly what I make. And no proof was required. But, through StarPower and through other means, my volume went way, way, way up. So StarPower was created by Howard Brinton,
Yes.
who was a dynamic, one-of-a-kind individual who has changed so many people's lives.
Including my own.
How did he change your life?
I was just fresh out of college, got my real estate license, and had the good fortune to have Kathy Russell as the top producer in the office. So I was shadowing her. I ended up joining her team. she took me with her to do her interview, and that's how I met Howard. And we were at NAR convention in Miami. This is 1993. And we went to the trade show floor. So we saw the StarPower booth, and some of the stars were there. I'll never forget it. Earl and Stan Whitmore, and Joseph and Randy Brazen. And I was starstruck. Now, bear in mind, I was 24 years old. And I was blown away that these people who were the mega producers in the industry were just so normal, so real, and so willing to just open up and say, this is how I do things. So I fell in love with StarPower right out of the chute. And then I'd been with Kathy a few years, and I had my first son 6 weeks early, and I was a workaholic, 80 hours a week, most weeks. And he was 6 weeks premature. So, in the hospital system, they knock you down in a room. So I started out
in a nice
upstairs,
room.
and then I was in the basement, and I'm sitting on a twin-size bed with a metal locker, and that was the size of the room, proofing a Homes and Lifestyles ad. And I said, what am I doing? I have a preemie upstairs, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I called Howard. Now, I had built a relationship with Howard because Kathy got sick at the StarPower conference in 1995 in Cancun, and I ran up to Howard and said, Kathy can't present, she's sick. And he did signature Howard move, I got to find someone to fill in. And I said, well, I can do it. And he said, you can? I said, yeah, I wrote the outline. I would think I should be able to present the content. And so that he had already an introduction to me, and I started writing for the newsletter, a team members only corner. So when I called him, he just encouraged me that I was a bright kid and I'd do fine no matter what I ended up doing. And he said, I don't suppose you want to add 1,200 miles to your commute. And I thought he was kidding. So I said, shoot me an offer. And then Babs called me a few hours later and said, we don't even know what we'd have you do, but write us a proposal. And the rest, shall they say, is history.
And you rose through the ranks of StarPower.
Yeah, I was the 8th employee when I started as Howard's personal assistant, and I ended up being the executive VP.
Yeah, you were his right-hand man when I joined. By the time
group. You and I met, I was the executive VP of the company.
Then Howard got ill.
Actually, the recession hit before Howard was sick, and so I was let go beginning of 2008. Howard found out a year later that he had cancer, and then the company closed its doors in August of 2009.
And sold to Alex Sharp. And
he bought the rights.
And that didn't go well.
It didn't go well.
And then when that fell apart, I did my 10 years of Rev with a lot of the people that came from.
Yeah, it was interesting because there were already things cropping up, right? So I had my little real estate masters guild group and Tall Poppies.
Which I went to.
Yeah. I think you were part of
Charleston.
Yes. And then Tall Poppies and Rev, we were all, I think, we loved StarPower so much and what it was doing for the industry that I think all of us were just struggling for a way. No one could replace Howard, right? He's a 1 in a billion. He was the most amazing entertainer. But beyond that, he was also just his ability to pull from people the best of what they had to offer. I just was so in awe of that.
And he was charismatic.
So charismatic. And he got away with telling stories that you and I could never in a million years tell. So I think we were all just kind of floundering. And then you fast forward to COVID hits, and then we can't any of us get together. And then Jana Caudill was brave and hosted something at her house in Naples. And it was a small group of stars, and they were all lamenting. And so she called me in June of 21 and said, I'm thinking about buying the rights to StarPower from Alex. Will you help me relaunch it if I do? Well, I bleed pink and black, right? So I was all in right then. So that's how it came back.
And I think what's going to be interesting about this interview, Amy, is that you see a side of successful agents and real estate brokers that other people don't get to see because you're really in the nitty-gritty with them. Mm-hmm. And then you also get to see the side of the business where Howard excelled and also where Howard fell short. Mm-hmm. From my personal perspective, he wasn't good at managing money, at least for his business. Is that accurate?
Yeah, Howard would tell you himself he wasn't a good business manager. He was an incredible educator, an incredible stage presence, an incredible interviewer, so talented and gifted in all those areas. And I think we all fall prey to this, Patrick. And you had said something to me about top producers. We think we have to be excellent at everything. And the people who really succeed figure out that
Yes.
they're not. And that's okay. And I even say to coaching clients now, they'll say, I suck at or I can't do. And I say, your strengths lie elsewhere.
And let's focus on your strengths.
So find the people who will pick up what you're not capable of carrying.
So let's say you have a top producer right now who feels like they have to do everything, that they're smarter than everybody else, and nobody's going to work as hard as they are.
Oh boy, do we hear that a lot.
How do you get them to say, as a coach, how do you get them to realize that they're actually hurting their team and they're hurting themselves with that attitude?
It's a series of open-ended questions for me always. So if you were to say that to me, Patrick, like no one can do it as well as I do, and I can't risk, you and I both hear this, I can't risk it not being done my way or perfectly. One of the first questions I'll ask is, what's most important to you, the process or the outcome?
That's a good question, Amy.
And then you got to be quiet and listen. And it usually results in a few more questions.
Right.
Because I'll hear things like, well, they're equally as important. Mm-hmm.
Really? They're really equally important? Right.
Right. And most people pretty quickly, first answer or within a couple of questions, the answer is, well, I'm really after the results. Great. So if we're focused on the results and you can get the results you want, are you willing to let go of some of that process?
Well done.
And then I also say, nobody's 100%. So, and your 100% is a bar that other people can't reach. If they could, they wouldn't be working for you. They'd be competing against you.
Right.
So, knowing that, you want good, loyal people who are talented and capable. Can you get okay with your 80% being their 100%? And most people will say yes to that. And it's a repetitive process. You don't have that conversation one time. You have it over and over. When the frustrations come up, we go back to outcome versus process, results versus process, and reground that person. So anybody watching this, you can just ask yourself that question.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a great question. So I guess from your perspective, what do you know about successful agents that maybe other people don't know, maybe even other agents don't know?
So many things come to mind. I think the first thing I would say is we're all humans. And we can either be humans doing or humans being. And I think wildly successful people got really clear on the be, and the do supports the be. Unfortunately, you and I both went through coach training and we talked about the be, do, have, right?
Right.
So if we can get clear on who we are, then we can do the things that support.
By the way, that's one of my favorite sentences. Who I be.
Yeah. We can get to doing the things that support us being who we are, and then we will have the things that life can reward us with as a result of that. So many people are locked in the have part,
right,
and the doing is driving the have, and they never get it. They never figure it out.
Wildly
successful people get it.
Why don't you explain in a little bit more detail about being focused on the have?
If I only had this amount of money in the bank, then I could do this marketing. If I only had the right car, then the luxury people would respect me. It's all this focus on pretty much tangible material things that's what's preventing me from being able to move forward. In the intangible realm, you and I also both know that people say, if I only had Patrick's level of confidence, then if I could only deliver scripts like Alexis Bolin, then I could convert more listing appointments. And so they get in their own way about, I have to be, it's external, right? I have to be like somebody else in order to be successful. That to me is all the haves. It's all external. So I'm either focusing on something I feel like I tangibly need in order to do, or I feel like there's something missing on the inside of me. I'm not good enough in the version I'm in to be able to do that. So it's a have, then a do, and they oftentimes never get clear on the be. They don't ever get clear on who they are. They're still working because they don't have any other identity beyond that.
You know, one of the things that I believe, and it may not be true, but I do believe it, is that it's probably more important to work on your personal self than it is on your real estate skills. The real estate skills are a lot easier. It's working on yourself and becoming clear about who you be is what makes for, I feel, a really happy and successful person.
Absolutely. And, you know, I went through that process myself.
Tell me about it.
So I told you I was a workaholic before I even had kids. And then we moved to Colorado and I was in it again. I'm young. I'm younger than most of the people in the industry at this time. And I think I have to prove myself. And prove myself was the product of my growing up. Put in more hours, do more for others. And that's actually a good part of my growing up. And we can talk about that later if you want. It was all quantity based and it was all external. And I kept waiting for all of the pats on the head, if you will, of a good job. And then I would just feed on that and do more. So more hours. And in 2002, so I went to work for StarPower in 96, spring of 96. In June of 2002, I had just been taking on more and more. So my right hand at the time, she basically had a mini stroke at work and we rushed her to the hospital. Turns out she has MS. I had to ground her and pick up her job. And then 9/11 happened. And then our general manager at the time was in a car accident and got a head trauma. So I took on his job. So I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. I'm now doing everything Chris was doing. I'm now doing everything Tim was doing. And I just kept taking it on because my identity at that time was, how much more can I do? How much can I show Howard and the company that I'm capable of? And I just let it go up to here. And in June 20th of 2022, I had a complete nervous breakdown.
Of course you did.
They don't call it that anymore, by the way. I'm diagnosed with general anxiety disorder. This is a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
So, and I rebounded really fast because I had to. I got small
You got
children
kids.
at home. Yeah. And you do what you have to do in the moment. And my body was calling a physical time out on me because my brain was getting in the way.
Yeah.
And I tell coaching clients all the time, look, you've got a choice. You can either call a timeout on yourself or your body's going to do it for you.
Yeah. And I would say, in addition to that, it's not just your body. I would, from my personal beliefs, I would say you're out of alignment with your soul.
Yeah.
And what your soul wants you to be doing with your life. And it's going to put the brakes on you real quick to to get your attention.
Oh, yeah. So I got back in it. And then January 4th, 2008, you see how these dates stick in my head. That's the day I got fired from StarPower. And Patrick, it was like, you might as well have just shot me in the head. I mean, StarPower is my family.
Right.
I got extracted from my family tree. And I had the good fortune to have a couple people in my life that immediately got right up in my face and said, no, you can't do this. I think Coach Don Shula always told his team, you get 24 hours to celebrate a victory or mourn a loss, and then you got to get back to work. And so I basically had these people in my life that said, okay, mourn it, but you got to get back to work. And so here I am on that treadmill again. I got to go fast, I got to go hard, and I got something to prove again. But I wasn't doing the internal work. And so it was like 2011 when I really started settling into who I was. And in 2012, I met my best friend. Everybody needs a Donna, I always say. She started challenging me in ways I hadn't been challenged before. And now bear in mind, I went through coach training in 2001 and 2002, same school you did. So I knew all the be, do, have stuff, and I was falling back into an old pattern. And so once the pattern interrupt hit and I truly started working on the me inside and who I was about and what I wanted to be, everything started to shift.
So I want to say that's a pearl, and I want everybody to really pay attention to work on who you are at I call it a soul level. Work at who you are in this world and what you want to project. Be that person, and then everything else will fall into place, because when you're making a decision about what you're going to do, it's going to be based on the being. And when something is out of alignment with your being, then it's easy to say, no, I don't want to do that. So, Amy, getting clear about who you be often causes difficulty with other people in your life because they have a problem with you changing. Has that been the case with you?
Absolutely. So I think I know what stops most people from stepping fully into their authenticity is fallout. Lost friendships, maybe relationships ending. There are a variety of things. When you change, what the world looks like around you changes.
It's true.
So in 2011, I finally decided to start taking care of myself physically. And I started working out. And then I met my best friend, Donna. She was a Zumba instructor at my gym. And I said, I need to be around this person. She had the energy, right? Who she was being. Her authentic self was so compelling to me. And so she started prompting, who wants to she said, do the devil dash. I didn't know what that was. It had the word dash in it. So I'm thinking, oh, it's a 5K. I can walk a 5K. I'd done the March of Dimes 17 miler at some point in my earlier life. It was a mud run, which was way out of my comfort zone, Patrick. And it showed me I was capable of doing something I never knew I could do. And I think that's what happens when we start getting clear on who we be. We now see things as possibilities that didn't exist in our universe before. It's like when you decide you're going to buy a Volvo, suddenly every car you see on the highway is a Volvo, right? So when we're coaching people and they're stuck, it's often this fear. And there's another quote I love. It's the start that stops most people. I think most people don't get started on the internal work because of the fear of what might happen. Is my marriage going to end? Will I lose my friends? Am I going to have to completely shift how I exist and navigate the world? Am I going to be judged by my team members, my organization, my audience, if I'm in front of an audience? Those things.
And the answer to that question is yes.
Yeah.
And there's going to be so many great opportunities that come your way because you get clear about what's important to you.
Yes.
And I can't tell you how many of my coaching clients that's what I work on is saying, I ask them, what do they want? And they're rarely ever clear about it. They'll give me something, I want to sell more units or something like that. And I go, no, that's not what I'm talking about. What do you want your life to be like? What do you want your day to like? What's your legacy? Who do you want?
It's that second question. What do you really want?
Yeah.
And they don't know.
Yeah.
And that's a danger in our industry, quite frankly.
Yeah, I would say so. In this interview process, I've been interviewing really, really successful people, like number 1 or 2 in their state for the most part. And they've all gotten really clear about who they be. And like you said before, I think that's one of the reasons that makes them hyper successful, because they're very clear about who they be. And
their ability to simplify.
Yeah. Yep.
In life, in business, we all tend to overcomplicate everything in our lives, and we get we dip our toe into 1,000 things. And jack of all trades, master of none. I know I'm throwing a lot of cliche quotes out, but they fit, right? So I'm going to keep my hand in my transactions. I'm going to keep my hand in my financials. Last thing most people will ever let anybody touch. Not because it won't help them, often because they're embarrassed of how they've handled it themselves. I had a lady years ago come to me about coaching, and so I was asking the standard questions. What sort of production do you do? You know, she said, well, I made close to $1 million last year. It was 9 something. I said, well, that's fantastic. What's your percentage that you keep out of that? She says, I don't know. I said, well, like, talk to me about your P&Ls. Oh, I don't do P&Ls. I said, how do you know if it makes sense to invest in something? She said, I look at the balance in my account, and if I have money, I spend it.
Well,
Wow.
that might work for her. It might not.
Well, there's a reason that she was looking for a coach, right? So I would encourage anybody who's watching this, no matter where you're at, no matter what level of production, no matter what's going on in your life, business or personal, that you find somebody that you can feel safe with.
And that could be a coach, that could be a peer that you meet at a conference, that could be your gym instructor that you were talking about at Zumba.
You got to find your people.
Yeah.
And life. So I have a very strong faith. I have believed my whole life that everything that has occurred in my life has happened for a positive reason, no matter how awful at the time it seemed. So Howard actually used to always say, you're either learning or making money, and if you can do both at the same time, even better. I love that quote. When it comes to the personal side of things, we resist so much instead of leaning into what's going on. You might get breast cancer. You might file bankruptcy. All these things that we feel we need to hide from the world can actually become armor if we will look at the learning that we get from that situation and help it, internalize it so that it makes us stronger.
I would also say that, and this is from my own personal life, that the fear about what I did wrong and sharing that fear was far greater than the actual circumstances. And that created a lot of fear for me, which kept me from doing what I needed to be doing. Mm-hmm. And once I just said it out loud, and this is what's going on in front of people that I actually cared about, it was like, oh, now I can take care of this, and it's not a big deal. Because the fear had more of a grip on me than the actual circumstances did.
Absolutely. And it's the stories we tell ourselves that we never speak out loud that are holding us back.
Amy, what do you do really well?
I hike really well. I believe I was put on this earth for 3 primary reasons. I'm a really good connector, I'm a really good community builder, and I'm really good a collaborator.
I would say check on all 3. That's my impression of you. How did you get clear about those 3 things?
First, the training that I've gone through over the years has helped me come to that realization. Having the courage to invite other people's perspectives into that self-exploration because it feels dangerous. And I have always come from a place of wanting to serve other people and not ask for myself. When I started asking other people for perspective, I heard things I was shocked by in a good way. And innately, I think I knew it. And for me to hear it spoken, it wasn't external validation, which is different for me. It was, again, people who created a safe space with me.
You felt you were being seen.
Yes. And I think essentially all of us, no matter how tough somebody likes to say that they are, we need to feel seen, we need to feel heard, and we need to feel valued. For me and my faith, we got very simple instructions. Be kind, love others. End of discussion. If we do those two things, everything else comes along. And so as I've developed more self-awareness of what I'm good at and not good at, and trusting others to take on those things I'm not good at, I see the growth, I see the progress that happens as a result of it. If I stay in my own way, I can never reach the potential that God intended me to reach. So I have to keep letting go. It's a series of over and over again.
So what do you not do well?
I have not in the past been a good delegator.
That would make sense given the history that you shared.
I work on it daily. I invite help, and I know I still have a long way to go. There are things that I have the capability to do that I simply do not enjoy. I absolutely dread. I started out in engineering, and I'm very good with math and logistics. And here's another one that Howard taught us all. What's the highest and best?
Why are you doing things that you don't enjoy? I don't get that.
Oh, how much time do you have?
I don't have that much time. But
I don't have enough money to pay someone to do it. That's a voice we all hear
it's
in our
fascinating.
heads.
Somebody who would coach other people to say, you know, why are you doing this? What's behind this? And then are you asking yourself the same question?
Of course. I have discarded why questions.
Well, from coaching, that's what we're
Just
taught.
to share with people why makes a person defensive, including yourself. So when we go, I screwed that up. Why did I do that?
Okay, so what's behind that? That's my counter to a why question.
My entire life, Patrick, first of all, I'm a middle child. My big sister is an overachiever, amazing woman. The things that she's accomplished are just astonishing. And my younger sister is equally as brilliant. And the comparison game, the whole time we were growing up, they were both beautiful, like model beautiful, and they were both extremely athletic. And so I sat as the chubby kid in the middle, trying to constantly prove myself. In my mind, I didn't measure up. And so I spent a lot of wasted energy.
But what does that have
to
what does that have to do with doing things that you don't really enjoy?
It was my one way to prove to the world, in my mind, that I was enough. And it's not, my realization now is, enough doesn't matter. Who I be is what matters. Enough is a measurement. It's a comparison.
Oh.
When I say, am I good enough? What am I comparing that to?
I have a client that struggles with, am I enough? And I feel like that's going to really help me work with her about switching her from it of what's behind her focusing on am I enough, but rather focus it to who I be.
This is why I love collaboration.
Yeah.
Because we're constantly learning from each other, right? So that was a big one for me that I have had to work through my entire life. My barometer with my parents was be the straight A student, the book smart one, the great at math and science, because my sister had already taken beautiful, athletic. They were also both extremely smart. It was the one area where I felt I could leap ahead of them. It was a comparison game. And that's so dangerous. And you and I see this all the time in our industry. It's still happening. Even if you let go of being number one in your franchise and you went out independent, you're still stuck in the space of, am I enough? Is it enough? And a lot of people can't answer that question.
Those agents that see themselves that were at one time number one or number two in their marketplace, and they're looking to cut back on the amount of work, often get lost about who they are because their definition of themselves, I'm number one in the market, as opposed to this is the human being I am in life.
I'm the best listing agent of everybody I've brought on my team. Great.
Take that to your deathbed.
But they're pretty good too.
Take that to your deathbed.
How do you live outside of that identity? And that's where some people will work in real estate until they die. And Some of those, great because it makes them happy and they love it, and that's totally fine. Most people are doing that because they don't know who they are outside of their real estate identity. And so that is an area that concerns me. Even for the hyper successful people, some of them are still figuring it out.
Oh, sure. Oh, for sure. All right. So let's segue to this from the theoretical to the tactical. What are the tactical things that brokers and agents have instituted to grow their business?
So I'm going to break this into categories. There is leverage and there is lead gen. So one of the
two most important items, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I
without
agree.
a doubt. So a lot of people come to the table and they've hit a ceiling of production that they can't get past. And
it's one of those two issues
one of
or
those two
both of
things.
them.
Most of the time it's a piece of both. On the leverage side, people just are so locked into no one can do it better than I can, or I don't have the money. Those are the two main objections to getting help. And the access we have today to technology, to virtual resources, there are so many ways to get leverage that don't require you to go hire a full-time assistant and have payroll and all the headaches and worry about unemployment. So it's really getting clear on, I have a fun exercise I have people do. I'll share with you. Spend a week, first do a brain dump for just 15 minutes. Set a timer, don't let yourself go over. Everything you can think of that you do right now in your day-to-day real estate practice. Carry it with you for a week, and every time you do something that wasn't on the list or you think of something, add it to the list. At the end of the week, you're going to take that list and sit down and you're going to go through it twice. The first time, everything that you like doing, you're going to draw a smiley face next to. Everything.
Oh, that's a better way than I handle this. Okay, because I can't get my clients to always do this.
You got to make it as easy as possible.
And you got to make it fun.
Yes. So smiley face next to everything that you love to do.
And a frowny face.
And a frowny face or an X next to the things that you hate to do. Okay? And you have to love it or hate it. There's no, for the people that ask, because you're going to get people that ask, there's no in between. You either smile or you don't. And then
Rob's happy to hear that. He sees the world in black and white.
Next time you go through the list, it either gets a dollar sign if it makes you money or a minus if it doesn't. Now, go through the list and identify everywhere you put an X or a frowny face and a minus. Those are the things you take off your plate first. A lot of times those things are things you can farm out to a VA, outsource permanently. You know, you're still printing your postcards in-house. You're binge watching Netflix while you stuff envelopes, whatever crazy thing you're still doing, which then leans into hourly rate. Most people have no clue what their hourly rate is. The things that have a smiley face and a dollar sign, you get to keep all of those. So you got a green highlighter, you just go through and you mark those puppies up with green, and that's your sweet spot. That's where you want to hang out. And then the stuff in between is the negotiable. Now, non-negotiable, X or frowny face and minus, non-negotiable. Get it off your plate as soon as possible.
Yep.
It's not making you money. You don't enjoy doing it. There's no good reason you can give me to keep doing that.
Even if it is making you money and you're not enjoying it.
Well, that's in the middle. So we have all these things that we love doing but don't make us money. And then we have all these things we hate doing but do make us money. So you have some choices to make. This is level 2
Right.
delegating. What are the things that you like doing but don't make you money that you're willing to let go of right now and get somebody else to do? And then what are the things that you don't like doing, but you know you have to hang on to them because they're revenue generating? And then so that chunk in the middle, you can start pulling pieces off out of that. At the end of the day, we only want those greenies, right?
Right.
But we don't jump from 0 to there, which is what a lot of people think. That's why they don't leverage, because the leap to get from here to there, there's so much in the middle. I can't afford to hire all that out. So you get them to let go of the very entry-level stuff, and now they have freedom. And they start getting excited about the business again. And then we can look at lead generation.
And what are some tips you have for lead gen?
I'm going to get on a soapbox on this
Please do. Please do.
Oh, the people around me are so sick of hearing me say this, and I don't care. You have spent whatever time in this business building a force of people that know you, like you, trust you. We've all heard this ad nauseum. Why is it then that you would rather go spend money on brand new freaking leads when you've got these people here who already said, I trust you, I like you, I want to help you, I want to see you win. And it's so simple and so inexpensive. And yet, even
inexpensive is key.
The 7-figure income earners are as guilty as the solo agents.
Oh, sure.
Get on the phone. Send a text. Handwrite a note.
That's the thing that I've learned from all of my interviews. They all pick up the phone.
Yeah.
They all pick up the phone and initiate conversations.
It's that simple. And people don't like that answer. They want some sort of silver bullet they can buy. It's no different than, how do I get this last 50 pounds off or 20 pounds off? Move more, eat less, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Give me something else because I don't like that answer. That's how people are with their database. Those past clients, your sphere of influence, they are hungry to help you.
That's our other pearl from today. That's really great.
I say this all the time. If somebody, if they're at a StarPower event or I'm out speaking and they only take one thing away from the whole event or the whole day, talk to your people, period. Go do that before you do anything else. Then you can get into the fun side of lead generation, which is what new things can I do? Because in order to keep your numbers where you want them, you have to have a balance between, you can only count on so much to come from your database. Now, if you came to me, Patrick, and you're a solo agent and you said, I want to do 25 transactions next year, and I say, how many people do you have in your database? About 300. Well, they're there. Don't go spend money. Don't sign up for, sorry Zillow, sorry Realtor, sorry whomever. Don't go buy leads. You've got the 25 sitting in your database, either their transactions or the people they know. And if you aren't paying good attention to them, you are going to be stuck in a cycle your entire career of having to go buy more, because you're not taking care of what you already created.
Amen.
Now, if you come to me and you say the same thing, I have 300 people in my database, but I want to hit a whole new level. I want to get to 100 transactions. Very different conversation. We know we can count on that 300 for 30. So we got another 70 to go find. So what do you enjoy doing? How do you want to market? I will lay on the table, here's 47 ways for you to generate business. Do you like to door knock? No. Throw that one out. How about call expires? Oh, I think maybe I could do that. That seems less threatening. Okay, let's talk about a way to do it that's better than what everybody else is doing, which is check the hot sheet, call the person. Did you know your house went off the market? Oh my gosh, you and 17 other realtors are doing that. Let's go talk to the people who expired 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years ago. Let's talk to them and let's ask them open-ended questions about if their home had sold, what were they planning on doing? And is that still part of their bigger plan? And go down that road. Or go back and listen to Les Walden's StarPower interview. He has a totally different approach, which is phenomenal for sale by owners, expireds, and for rent by owners. The point being, I just gave you 47 ways to do it. Pick 2 or 3, and let's hold them accountable. So somebody will say, well, I do like doing open houses. I used to do them all the time, and then I stopped when COVID hit and everything went nuts. I just didn't do them anymore. Okay, well, when you're doing them well, what sort of results do you get? Well, every time I do an open house, I end up with at least 1 to 2 people that I know I'm going to get closed in the next 6 to 8 months. Great. How many of those are you willing to do? Let's put that into your plan for the next year. Okay, so that just produced 16 closed sales from open houses. So now we're at 46. We still need 54 more. So let's talk about these other areas. Do you want a geographic farm? Do you want to start doing senior seminars? Do you want to talk to probate attorneys? Or there are so many ways to be successful in this business. The problem is people go so wide. It's, a shotgun versus a rifle.
And don't commit to something long enough.
Do one thing and do it really well. It's the same thing for social media, right? Everybody thinks they need to be everywhere. If you can't do one channel really well, you're going to do all of them equally as poorly. Pick one thing, do it well, get a system in place, get that humming, and then go do the next thing.
So I know one of the things that's really important in your life is your foundation. Why don't you talk to us about it?
So again, best friend Donna comes in the gym one day and says, I want to climb Kilimanjaro before I turn 55. Will you go with me? Of course I say yes, because I never think through anything when she asks me. Later I dial back and say, what have I done? So we summited Kilimanjaro in 2019.
Did you practice for that?
Oh yeah, I trained.
Okay.
It bears noting that Pam Marion also summited that mountain with me, and she did not train.
Really?
So mad props to Pam. I think she was.
We're interviewing her next month.
Oh, wonderful.
Her and Barry.
I think she was 66 when we summited.
She's that old?
Well, she's 70, going to be 72 now.
She looks really
Oh, I know.
good.
I think she's Benjamin Button.
She looks really good.
At any rate, I fell in love with the guys on the mountain, the porters, and I started asking questions because that's what I do. I'm a very curious person. And I finally got to the layer of truth that they all desperately would love to get their kids into private school so they can get a true quality education and set them up for success to break the cycle of poverty. And so I said, how much does it cost to send a kid to private school here? And Pascal, who'd been instrumental to me on the climb, said, the tuitions at the time, it was about $600-ish for primary school. And he had 2 daughters. And I said, well, I'm going to help your oldest daughter. We're going to get her there. However many years she has left doesn't matter. And then I came back a month later. I told the story to Ann Reed, Mike's wife. And she talked to Mike on the phone that night and came back to me the next day and handed me a check for $600 and said, send his other daughter. And then the light bulb went off. This is how God talks to me, Patrick. It's in very succinct ways. Now that I've learned to tune in to what the universe is telling me, which I call God, there were pivotal moments on the mountain where I asked for help and I got it instantaneously with no explanation how that could be possible. So I said, okay, I'm supposed to help more kids than 2. And so this was March of 2020. We all know what happened in March of 2020. And I decided to set up the foundation. I asked 2 of my best friends and the husband of my very best friend if they would be the board, and started the foundation. And here we are now 5 years later, and we just brought on our 72nd sponsor, which blows my mind. We were going to do 8 kids the first year, and we did 16. So 2021, I said, do you think we could do 21 and 21 just for fun? And we did. And then 2022 came, and I said, do you think we could do 22 and 22? And, I quit doing that every year because things slowed down a bit. I never thought we would get to the level that we're at, and I just keep seeing how much is possible. So very quickly, God put on my heart, you're not just going to help a bunch of kids, you're going to build a couple schools. So that's like the next thing on the horizon. I have no freaking clue how to do any of this. I didn't know how to set up a foundation. Guess what? Google's our best friend. Now we have ChatGPT. If I'd had that 5 years ago, I can only imagine what I could have created. It just keeps unfolding. And I think when we let go of having to know every little step and we trust the process, amazing things can start to occur.
Amen. You're preaching to the converted on that point. Good on you, Amy. Good on you for doing that. Really good on you.
Thank you.
So this is your opportunity to speak to the listeners who aren't even aware of StarPower.
Okay.
This is give me your elevator StarPower pitch. So for the audience about why they should investigate StarPower.
So here's the deal. You can keep trying to figure it out yourself. You can keep trying to reinvent the wheel. You can keep trying to come up with what you feel are brand new ideas, or you can have the collective brain trust of hundreds of people who've already been successful in this business, distilled down into literal video and sound bites of do this, do it this way, do it right now, and you can get 7 different ways from 7 different people who are all being successful, and pick the 1 or 2 that resonate with you. It's a massive shortcut to success.
Good answer. How do you define success for yourself?
If I am in alignment with my core values,
I like this answer.
my core values, faith, health, relationships, making a difference, fun, and freedom. Those are my 6. If what I'm doing is in alignment with those core values, then I have internal joy that's unspeakable. You know, there's a great, for people who like contemporary worship music, there's a song that says, "You give me joy that's unspeakable." And that's what I feel is going to happen for anyone, regardless of their belief system. If you get clear on what's inside and your actions support that clarity, that is where the true joy shows up. And no amount of tragedy can take that away from you.
The next question that I always end the interview with, what brings you joy? You just answered that. It's fascinating, Amy, that out of all these interviews that I've done, when I ask people, these really successful agents, what brings them joy, I get a blank face at first, and we have to try to bring it out and edit it. And this is the first time that we've gotten a really great answer right away. I can see your eyes lighting up. That makes me so happy, and I hope you guys are listening. This is really good. That was a really great definition of defining success and defining what brings you joy. So Amy, with that, thank you so much for, 1, being my friend, but 2, doing this and sharing your wisdom with our listeners.
It's truly my pleasure and such an honor to spend this time with you, Patrick.
Awesome. Amy's a good egg. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And as always, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next month.